My name is Marie. I'm a registered nurse and clinical educator. I have created this program to bring you a different learning experience. There are two parts. First part is CPR with practical demonstration, and in second part we will have a look at the aspects of first aid. I will be staying with you all the way through the program and lead you from one part to another. So what is CPR? CPR stands for cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Why do we need to know CPR? Anybody in the community, at workplace, can come across a person who needs your help. They may collapse, they may stop breathing, they may not be conscious, and you need to know what to do. So what are you going to do if you come across a person who has collapsed? Don't be scared to offer help, even if you haven't practiced CPR for a long period of time. If they're conscious, always seek consent. What is consent? Consent is the person you are helping is giving you permission to do so. If the person is not conscious, you proceed with CPR as instructed. It's better to offer help than to walk away. Let's have a look at Ben. Ben is a registered nurse in one of the major hospitals in emergency department. Let's see what he has to say.
Hi, my name is Ben Turner. I'm a nurse, been a nurse for about 7 years now. I've worked within the emergency department. I go to and from there. And I'm here today to talk to you about the importance of CPR. I myself have done CPR several times in the nursing environment, also out in the community. And it's one of the first lines of treatments, especially for an unconscious collapse patient, unresponsive patient, and even cardiac, respiratory, all those sorts of things. National standards always state that it's 30 to 2 breaths, and a lot of people don't realise that the quicker you get that in, the better chances of survival are for the patient.
When giving CPR or first aid, be aware of your own injuries. Be aware of bleeding, your own bleeding or the victim's bleeding. Remove any contaminated clothing, wear gloves if possible, and if you feel uncomfortable for whatever reason not to give rescue breath, go straight to compressions. Hi again, now you're going to be working through different lectures. Graham, this is Graham, he's an actor who has done an amazing job, and Pat, who is your practical presenter. In your next session, you will be watching 4 scenarios of how people can potentially die from heart attack. These scenarios are for demonstration only. They can be quite confrontational. However, this is the real situations how people can die from a heart attack.
Hello?
We can't work out these figures for the presentation.
What are you talking about? I spent a weekend on these figures. It's so simple a child can work it out. Every time I'm away from the office, things go pear-shaped.
Well, we'll have to postpone the presentation.
What the hell are you talking about? I'm on my way to the airport now to pick these guys up, and we're going ahead with this today.
Oh, well, don't bring them here.
What do you mean don't bring them there? What are you supposed to do?
Oh, calm down.
Calm down, you put yourself in my position. No, it's just impossible, man. What do you want me to do? I'm on my way there now. I just say turn around and go home. Now come on, be realistic.
Have a flat tyre, run out of petrol.
Yeah, well, I'm going to run into you in a minute. I'm on my way there now. Oh, I can't handle this anymore. You're bloody all useless. I'll go out of it. No. No. Ah.
Hi, I do understand if you are feeling a little anxious. That was quite an intense experience. So let's take a little break. Take a deep breath before we watch Beth's demonstration.
Hello and welcome to First Aid. Today what we're going to be doing, CPR, or the emergency first response. So what do you do when you first come across a victim who seems to be lying on the floor unconscious? First thing you need to do is look for danger. So scan the area around. What are we looking for? We're looking for things like electricity, water on the floor, glass on the floor. If you're out in traffic, other traffic. So your first priority at this stage is to make sure there's no danger to you or to any bystanders. The next thing we need to do is go to our victim. We need to see if we're going to get any response. So give them a shake on the shoulders. Call out to them, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" No response? Call to somebody off-site and say, "Call for an ambulance." And it's important that you tell them to wait on the phone until the ambulance operator has told them they can go. The next thing that we need to do is we need to see if our victim is breathing. How do we do that? Place a hand on their chest. See if it raises up and down. Put your hand in front of their mouth. Can you feel any breath coming out? If they are breathing, but they're still unconscious, you need to roll them over into the recovery position. We talk a lot in First Aid about putting people into the recovery position. So obviously we've checked that he's breathing and his heart is beating, but he's unconscious, so we need to protect his airway. So I'm going to demonstrate to you now how to do this. We always move people onto the left side if we can, because major arteries run down the right side of the body and we don't want to compress these. Particularly important if you've got a pregnant lady, because we don't want to compress those arteries and still cause any damage to the baby. So I'll show you how to do it. Take this arm and place it out. This one goes over here. Pick up the leg and cross it over. One arm on the hip, one on the shoulder, push over, and then lift up the head to maintain the airway. If you can't put the victim on the left side because of injuries, you can move them on the right. Just pay particular attention to their airway. So we've got this victim not breathing. So we need to roll them on their back, extend their jaw up, give 30 compressions. Back to 2 rescue breaths, 30 compressions. 2 rescue breaths, 30 compressions. And you keep on going until somebody comes to either take over or you just simply cannot go on anymore. If you happen to be in a major centre, major shopping centre, airport, railway station, bus station, anywhere big, get somebody to go and get the automatic defibrillator. They're very, very simple to use, and that defibrillator could save a person's life. So I've come across a victim. And so the first thing I need to do is scan the area for danger. So look around, check for any electricity, check for water, check for glass. Is there smoke? So I've scanned the area quickly. No, there is no danger. So I can now go down and assess my victim. Okay, so I've assessed the area for danger. There is no danger to me, there's no danger to my victim, and there's no danger to anybody around me. So the next thing I need to do is go and assess my victim. I need to know whether he's breathing and whether he has a pulse. So see if he's breathing. Can you feel any air coming out of his mouth? Can you feel his chest moving up and down? If he is breathing, and you need to check his heart rate, put your hand over the heart and see if you can feel it beating. See if you can feel a pulse in his neck. So if he has got a heartbeat, but he's unconscious, you need to roll him into the recovery position on his side to prevent his tongue from falling back and stopping his airway. But this victim, unfortunately, has got no heartbeat and no pulse. So I need to roll him over, clear out his mouth of anything that may be obstructing it. So we need to look at our victim's chest. This is the sternum bone, about 1/3 down. You're only going to use the heel of your hand and you're going to pull your fingers back so that you don't break ribs. And now I'm going to give 30 compressions. The next thing you need to do is your pistol grip. We need to put 2 fingers under the victim's chin and one thumb on top of his chin in this sort of position. Pull the head back and open up the mouth. So this is the defibrillator. It's very important when somebody brings the defibrillator that you keep continuing CPR. This has got a voiceover, so it will tell you exactly what it is that you need to do, and they're very, very simple to use. They come with these pads. These pads tell you exactly where to place them. So get the second person to actually place the pads on. And then you need to turn the machine on and you need to listen to what she's telling you.
Training mode. Call for help. Analyzing heart rhythm. Do not touch the patient. Shock advised. Charging. Stand clear. Press flashing shock button. Shock 1 delivered. It is safe to touch the patient. Begin CPR now.
So at this stage, we will continue doing CPR. The defibrillator will stay on and she will tell you when to stop.
Continue for 1 minute 30 seconds.
When you're resuscitating a baby, you do exactly the same ratio of breaths to compressions that we do with adults. We just do them differently. With the baby, just place 2 fingers on top of each other and just press down lightly. You don't extend the baby's neck, you leave it in a neutral position. Put your mouth over their nose and their mouth. Once again, for babies, as for adults, you call for somebody to bring a defibrillator, and the defibrillators come with special pads for babies that are clearly marked for babies. So you can use a defibrillator on the baby as well. Hopefully by now the ambulance will arrive and you can let the professionals take over the resuscitation. But stay on the scene because they may need your help and they'll need you to give them all the information you can possibly give them about what happened to the victim since you found them.
That was a fantastic demonstration. Thank you, Pat. And now, let's go back to Ben to share his real experience.
One of my most recent cases of CPR was actually out in the community, more so the front of a major hospital. I was out on a morning tea break and happened to come across a patient that was in distress. Did the standard check, hi, my name's Ben, I'm a nurse, what can I do for you, are you feeling okay? Once I found out the patient was unresponsive, luckily I was on the hospital grounds, I was able to call a met call, and after checking that there was no pulse and they were completely unresponsive, started CPR today. Started CPR that second. Later on, about a week or 2 later, I actually met the patient and thanked me for what I did, and getting in there nice and quick just shows how easy it is to save someone's life. When you're in the community, especially dealing with a person like this, a lot of the time it comes down to you, maybe 2 other people that may know what they're doing. When you're in the emergency department, you've got a team of doctors, nurses, even orderly staff that are all experienced or just knowledgeable in what to do. In the public, a lot of people don't know how to do this. They've never had to do it, so it's also very important to be able to teach these people, because the basic knowledge is what can be done to save a life, and the longer you leave someone unresponsive, the less likely their chances are that they will survive. The quicker you get in there, the better off you're going to be and the better the outcome's going to be. CPR is always included in your senior first aid, which most people need to do as a sort of a job application. People just overlook it, think they'll never use it, but I can't stress enough how important it is. There's no better feeling than performing CPR on someone. They come up to you a few days later and they can say thank you for saving their life. It's something I never thought I'd ever experienced, but I recently have, and it's really changed my outlook on how important this really is. When doing CPR, like I said before, can be very daunting, especially it's your first time. You may be afraid of hurting the patient, or you might be not doing it correctly. Doing CPR on a patient, you do need to exert quite a bit of force to actually give their heart a jump, get the blood flowing around, so don't be afraid to use a bit of force behind it. I myself, I've cracked ribs as doing it, but what's more important, cracking a rib or saving a life? When it comes down to it in the end, always trust your gut feeling and don't be afraid to get in there and do it. The only way you're going to save someone's life is if you try, and just think you can save someone's life. That's a story you can tell another day. If you don't save their life, you'll be sitting there going, what could I have done?
Now you have listened a real experience from Ben. After you are in situation of giving CPR or first aid, make sure that you debrief with someone. Talk to the professionals. Have you done the right thing? Get reassurance. Find out whether you could have done something better. Traumatic situations can have a profound effect on the people, whether you are giving CPR, receiving CPR, or you are just bystander. Make sure that you talk to someone about the experience. Get a professional opinion. Get a reassurance that you have done everything possible you could in given situation. If you can, or the incident happened at work, you need to document what happened. You need to write down the place, time, situation, what have happened. If you did administer any medication, what did you administer? The name of the medication, the dose and time you given the medication, and the person's response. In part 1, you have seen Ben, Graham and Pat. I hope you had a good learning experience. Before we move on to the next section, please complete all the relevant questions for part 1 to test your knowledge and how much you actually remember.